Hi everyone, we are live. Welcome to Online Channel. Good morning. Today we will continue to discuss all the obstacles that occur along the path to enlightenment. Who is with us? Who has woken up? Those are good guys. Who have not woken up, you will look this later afterwards if you want. This is our cheerful morning today on the eve of a huge holiday called Easter. And if you are interested, let's discuss the thing. Why there was such a tragic moment in the history. Let's start with what this betrayal of Judas began. Is it because of the money?
Probably because of envy.
Because of the envy, yes. A huge number of crimes against the enlightened ones are due to envy. We can say that the Buddha too, when killed, poisoned before he died, this also happened because of envy. Saint Thomas, who came to preach Christianity in India, who was also killed by the Brahmins because of the envy, because he took the flock from them. Well, if you look at the history of all the saints and the enlightened people in this way, by and large, if you did not die with your death and you didn't go to Samadhi, then all of them anyway died because of the human envy. You can say so. Here it is. Therefore, in connection with this, we can discuss the question, who is in the process of his enlightenment has come across in these moments of envy. And you will necessarily come across envy. I can guarantee it to you. It cannot be any other way, because envy is a completely human quality called the quality of the ego. We all have it. As long as we live in three worlds of material experience, physical, astral and mental. In physical and astral and mental, we will definitely have an ego, some kind of an identification. And we will always have envy to a greater or lesser extent, bad with more. But on the other hand, if you look at envy, this is such a wonderful karmic mechanism that is provided in us. That's what you think. Why do we need envy in terms of karma? Why does it make us envy, do any nasty things, betray, and more importantly, get pleasure from it?
Well, we have to get the experience of material existence. And this is also an experience.
We have been rolling here for billions of years. Why haven't we learned anything yet?
We don't remember.
Ah, that's right. We do not remember. Nevertheless, we never remember our previous incarnation, and each time it feels different bumps. But for some reason, over time, it becomes tasteless to betray us. It becomes tasteless to envy us. But the betrayal and envy, why do I put a number equal? Because you can't betray the person you love. It turns out that the source of envy is your separation. This is your ego, pride. There I am. And why does he has more than I don't? And I'm so good, ego. I have my ego, myself, where I consider myself to be absolutely wonderful, absolutely worthy of all the best that is provided for on earth. And please let me end. Why is it so? Why he has something but I don't? Because while you are identified with your body, we think that I am this body until we woke up, until we realize our spiritual nature, that I am a higher self, I am a soul, I am a part of God, I am one with the whole universe. Well, this is an abstract concept with the whole universe. You realize that you are part of the divine essence. Then, from time to time, this egoism, attachment to these physical bodies and needs, to identification with this body, it disappears over time. Do not try to force yourself to do it quickly, but it is better to accelerate this moment. In the meantime, if a person has not even begun the path to enlightenment, spiritual growth, in general, let's not necessarily say the word enlightenment. In any case, the entire evolution should lead us to spiritual growth, to an increase in the degree of spirituality in us, in our spiritual essence, and so that we understand that we are the soul, realize our divine nature, that we are just the soul that is in the body. This is evolution. But on our way to this, we need to hit several bumps. As long as we identify with our ego, with our physical body, we know, I live, I was born and I die, I'm scared to die, yes? And this is the most important thing that pushes us to envy and betrayal. Look here, ego, pride and fear of death. And this is all together. When you are a person, a variety identified, you look at another person and he has something what you don't have, and you can envy him. Do you envy him? Because you are comparing. You have an ego, you have pride, you have your own sense of yourself, what you have, what you want to have, and what you deserve. And it always seems to us that we deserve the best, the more. If we are engaged in spiritual enlightenment, we are bound to the face of spiritual pride. If you do not even look at the ordinary physical side of the process, at the ordinary material life, you will definitely encounter spiritual pride in yourself and others. Pay attention when you are at any retreat, at any seminar, in any room where there are a guru. All people who are there, they feel special. Every person who is present at some kind of retreat, satsang, seminar, thinks that he is the only and unique one, the center of the universe, and so on. Again, when people practice some kind of meditation or begin to practice spiritual practices, the first thing they start to see or do is when the mind interferes in the process of some spiritual practices, and the mind itself gives out their feature. Why does mind need to lie to us so strongly to explain to us that we are the most special? Yesterday I was confronted with the situation that one girl who, to put it mildly, does not have highly special spiritual qualities, is in the theta healing session. Well, to say at least, imagine a person who is engaged in fraud in large quantities, and especially large fraud. But at the time during the session of theta healing, she felt at a certain moment that she was the closest disciple of Jesus Christ. And she remembered at that moment when they were together like this. Imagine, yes, that is, if it is a figurative to see, 2000 years of evolution led a person to absolute egoism, pride, identity, and confidence in his own exclusiveness. Spiritual pride is an obligatory thing that everyone faces. If viewed from the point of view of spiritual growth, if physical pride is astral pride, then this one is mental pride. So when a person is developed to the level of a mental body, his astral body is already subordinated to a completely mental plan. This super pumped mind with a huge number of reincarnations begins to give him such wonderful stories. And the mind is our essence of identification. And that is why when some teacher or tutor will say something to us, our mind will give us this picture, which we will see as a vision, which he himself slipped to us, in which he himself told us. The mind will tell us that we are so special and exceptional, and that in mind would later give grounds to be arrogant to all other spiritual teachers on earth. Do you understand? This is such a spiritual pride that gives the denial of authority. A huge number of people are now subject to this. Therefore, for many people now the process of enlightenment is absolutely individualistic, adapted to individual problems and needs. That is, it turns out that now everyone is moving away from some kind of traditions. Now everyone decides what is okay. I will have my own way. I am also special in everything. Some traditions, authorities and norms tried 2000 years ago tell a person who is engaged in enlightenment, explain that in process of enlightenment you can do things. How can you do without complying to any rules, without abandoning carnal pleasures? How can all this be abandoned?
без отказа от каких-то там плотских утех, там, да, как вот от этих всего можно отказаться. Да раньше вообще это было.
Previously, it was generally unthinkable. Before, you first had to go through a drill, when for several years you were forced to weed the beds, carry water, serve, clean, and so on, to crush your ego. And after that, quietly you begin to reveal some secrets and everything else, and how we are now. It turns out absolute democracy, and in the process of enlightenment too. Okay, great, I'm for democracy, but what do we have in the end? We have a tremendous increase in spiritual pride, which simply does not give people a normal attitude to what other people can say. People listen to what their mind tells them. Unfortunately, not the higher self. Because to hear the higher self, you need to suppress the mind, you need to suppress physics. You have to suppress the astral plane, and then really let the higher self speak.
Потому что, чтобы услышать высшее я, надо подавить ум, надо подавить физику, и надо подавить астралку, и тогда действительно заговорит.
And I'm very sorry, but higher self will not say that, for example, I'm in the flow, something like that. It turns out that this is a state of mind that has reached a level of abstractness. Do you understand? Not certainty, but it has expanded its consciousness in this way, and it has reached a level of abstraction. And then the mind begins to issue this story here that I'm part of the universe, I'm in everything, and it feels so good, I enjoy, and I'm cool.
И тогда ум начинает выдавать вот эту историю. Я есть часть Вселенной, я во всем, и мне так хорошо, и я наслаждаюсь.
What is this? This is enlightenment. Is it higher self? No. It is a mind that has expanded to the level of abstraction. But at this moment, it is the mind that says, okay, you are enlightened. Do not listen to anyone. All this is nonsense. You have your own way. You can drink, you can consume, do whatever you want, use drugs, live a normal life. Do not stop your mind. Why? After all, if some thought came to me, okay, let it happen. After all, this is part of the universe. I have to trust the material world, okay? Here came to me the idea that this guy is a fool. Do you understand? True, I am now specifically exaggerating this, accepting all that the mind betrays is nonsense. The mind will then promote the growth of spiritual pride. And it will grow to such incredible sizes that it will simply devour a person. His whole spiritual process will stop. Roughly speaking, from the point of view of magic, he goes to the left side. Here, look. Selfishness is what? Selfishness is the left side. What is the left side in magic and even in enlightenment process? This is all that is done to ensure that you were alone, that you are separated. The right side is when I am together, that I am with someone, I'm part of a single human body, I'm part of evolutionary process. We. When there is no I, is we. This is the right side. And the left side is when there is I. I am for myself, I have my own way, I am my own authority, I generate myself, I realize myself, I. You see, for thousands of years of evolution, all the enlightened have always fought for this I. Do you think they are all wrong? Okay, fine. Let's not listen to them anymore. Then let everyone invent their own bikes for themselves, and they will fight with their own ego. Even more precisely, they will not fight with the ego. They will tell their mind how great it is. And there is an easy opportunity for again, let's not forget that demonic structures live next to us. Let's pretend that they do not exist. They are. And they immediately lead in response to this egoism.
Опять же, давайте не забывать, да, рядом с нами живут демонические структуры. Давайте делать вид, что их не существует. Они есть. И они сразу же приходят в ответ на этот эгоизм. Понимаешь?
And what starts to happen? It begins this seduction that happened in Jesus Christ when the devil tried to provoke him when he was in the wilderness. Why did this happen? Because he was given the opportunity to experience. Is it possible to influence the mechanism of the ego remaining in him? Those mechanisms that embedded in him. Can he be triggered by any desire? Is it possible to tempt them? He was not tempted then. But a huge number of guys walking now on the path of enlightenment tempt. They are tempted, seduced. See what the situation is. When we go along the path, we must choose for ourselves authorities, and we cannot follow the path of egoism, that I'm so special and everyone is fools around.
Когда мы идем по пути, мы должны выбрать для себя авторитеты, и мы не можем идти по пути эгоизма, что я такой весь особенный, а все кругом дураки.
Millions of people, before you reach this state, they achieved this by certain rules and standards. We should not reject it. We should, on the contrary, plunge into some traditions, no matter what. Let it be Islam, Sufism, Buddhism, Judaism, Hinduism. In any tradition, all the rules are roughly talking about the same thing. Anyway, the task of any tradition is to save a person from pride, ego, egoism, self-identification, self-obsession, to have more of us and less of me. Here, answer yourself, how many times did you do yesterday some actions for yourself? That's when you thought. Just remember, everyone who listens to me now, tell me how many times did something yesterday except that you ate, went to the toilet, showered and so on, yes? This doesn't count, but the motive of how many of your actions was the word I.
Это не считается. Но мотив скольких ваших действий было слово «я»?
Many.
Many. Do you understand? And if you make it so that for yourself a day was, well, let's say I bought a can of juice and everything else for we. Can you do that?
Купил банку сока, а все остальное для мы. Слабо?
Well, then the mind begins to deceive us and replaces the notion that, like, we are not doing this for ourselves.
You see, it turns out that the life that you are starting to lead, yes, your mind has to change shape. Well, you can't fool it. It will still give you the true nature of your thinking. We can say that, okay, I go to work so I can earn money for my family, right? But then it will say, no, dear, we go to work in order to make a career, to become super successful so that we have enough to feed our pride and selfishness. See, it is very easy to track this fact when I am and when we are. You can track it precisely by selfishness and according to envy. Envy is an excellent indicator of the degree of ego mortification. If you have envy, especially spiritual envy or material envy, then your ego lives, blooms and smells. If you suppose you see that someone is driving a good car and you envy him, a normal human reaction, I can't say anything. But from the point of view of enlightened consciousness, your physical mechanism, physics, ether, astral, mental, should not experience these feelings by definition. By this moment, you as enlightened one should be part of a single human body, and when someone is driving alongside a chic Mercedes, you should simply be happy inside yourself that he's a great guy. And what are we doing? Why do I don't have such a thing? Here and again, when we see some beautiful, successful person, immediately, from the point of view of enlightened consciousness, you will think, okay, well done, he has a good karma, he certainly carries on a huge functionality, he has a huge energy flow, a huge amount of energy passes through him. It is either a star or he is a singer or an actor, he drags on himself a huge egregorial structure. Okay, well done. That is, it is hard. The identified consciousness of an ordinary person will say, well, of course he slept with someone in the right time, bribed someone, or everything is bought today, or connections, hang out with the right people, etc.
Или все нынче покупается, или опять связи, там тусуются с правильными людьми и так далее. То есть почему наша...
Why does our envy immediately begin to humiliate the object to which we envy? To make it easier for us to survive, we must definitely depreciate this object, which is better than us in some moments. You see, at certain stage of evolution, we cannot be all perfect. Someone at some point, suppose suffers. Someone with astral is better. Someone has material karma better in this incarnation. But this doesn't mean that we all have always been like that. And you also had these moments when you owned huge money, and what's the most likely happened if there is no money in this life? Oh, what a wonderful person I am! What a great person I am! Yes, I'm such, and me, and more. And oop, money is gone. Do you understand? And never return.
Я больше не возвращаюсь. Так интересно.
So interesting. This is often how it works. That's how much I see this scenario. Most often, the main reason for losing money is again selfishness. It would seem that a person earns money to satisfy his egoism. But this is egoism that pushes him away from this money. Why? What do you think? We, of course, on the topics we are a little jump, but that's okay. The main thing that is interesting, why do you think selfishness pushes money away?
Well, probably the money is the third chakra.
Or the second one?
Or the second.
And selfishness?
Selfishness interferes.
What chakra is selfishness?
Egoism.
Center of the ego.
Between the first and second.
No, selfishness is the third chakra, and therefore egoism pushes us to achieve something. And until we reach our evil Shiva in the stomach tells us, come on, go on, do it, do something. He makes us go over our heads, cross over ourselves, not sleep, not eat. He moves us. He turns on the mode of passion in us. But above all, he includes in us pride, egoism, and aggression. Aggression is a mandatory quality that goes along with envy. All these qualities which we have now discussed, they stupidly hang out around the third energy center.
It seems for me that selfishness allows you to earn money, but only small money.
Quite right. It is possible to earn small money. The middle class is possible, and if you want to grow to a large energy structure, there is no question about selfishness at all.
Selfishness is rarely only material. The man justifies himself by the fact that he envied another person in a good car, saying, yes, he stole, he did bad things. And I'm not like that. I'm kind. I do things for people, and therefore I cannot do such bad things. That's why I'm poor. It seems for me that it's difficult to separate material selfishness from spiritual selfishness. It usually goes all together.
If a person says that I am so good, I will not sell myself because such an association that everyone who has money, they trade themselves, and the fact that they can simply make money is absolutely unthinkable.
But he cannot. Therefore, he needs an excuse.
Why he cannot? Because once he somewhere showed laziness, and laziness is an obligatory quality of egoism. When we compare ourselves with others, let's say at school when we studied and there was some kind of a flaw star there, well, of course he is, and he is bad, and I'm going to be so good. Look, selfishness always humiliates a person we envy.
He exalts himself in his eyes.
And if he is so exalted, he has already exalted himself. I'm so good, and this lucky successful man is so bad. Why should I try to do what he does, right? I feel good in my swamp. I feel well and say, he's so bad, ugly, terrible, I, and this results in a total lack of motivation. And in the third energy center, we have accumulated crushed aggression, selfishness, and arrogance. And that's all. And then sorry, but where is the money? And there is no money. And all our life, we are in plankton. We are swimming and floating in corporations, but we cannot get out. And at the same time, we look around and envy everyone.
Плаваем в корпорациях, а выбиться не можем. И при этом смотрим по всем по сторонам и всем завидуем. И когда кто-то там
And when someone climbs the stairs, jealousy arises again, and we depreciate them again. We again speak and think about them badly, that he is such a jerk, that he is such a moron, and I am also wonderful, but I did not appreciate. And you see, the topic, which our ego includes, will continue to support this topic until the end of its days. If you move away from the ego, look soberly at things, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm stupidly lazy. I'm stupidly lazy to learn language, get an MBA. I was stupidly lazy to break through and hang out, communicate, get acquainted, donate some of my own well-being, to sacrifice my laziness. I was too busy to work 24 hours a day. I was too lazy. I was comfortable because I once found a good place for myself, satisfied my ego with explanation that everything was bad and I was good, and my development stopped on this joyful note.
да, мне это было лень, мне было комфортно, потому что я где-нибудь когда-то нашел себе хорошее место, уютное, да, удовлетворил свое эго объяснениями себе, что все кругом плохие, а я хороший. И вот на этой радостной ноте вот мое развитие и остановилось. Потому что у всех все равно всегда есть.
Because everyone still has equal chances, but there is always selfishness and laziness. Any success is hindered by the same third chakra. Thanks to this chakra we are growing. Thanks to this chakra we are ruining or staying at the level of office plankton. We need to get a break. We will be back in a minute.
Да, или остаемся на уровне планктона офисного. Так, сколько у нас идет трансляция? Уже больше полчаса, да? Давайте сейчас минуточку выключимся, включимся, чтобы у нас... Всем привет еще раз. Ну, продолжаем.
We continue to talk about the envy and features of the training of the ego on the path to enlightenment. Let's continue to look at what we do with this envy. So we found out that we have envy. We didn't achieve something. We didn't reach it in the material sense. We have spiritual envy. We have material envy. It happens that everything is there at the same time. Most often suffer from this envy are people who are initially prone to selfishness. These are all people who belong to third ray.
Которые изначально склонны к эгоизму, да, то есть это все люди, которые к третьему лучу относятся. То есть в них эгоизм.
The egoism will definitely be stronger by definition than the guys from the first or second ray. This is normal in terms of evolution, because from them there is more of making of survival, identity with oneself, I, me, need to dig in, need to defend myself. If you are in the field of their influence and you approve of them, you support them, you praise them, and you never envy. But as soon as they feel that you love them less, they begin to envy you. And worst of all, they begin to get angry. Then they begin to be offended, do revenge, and so on, and welcome there is a war. Initially, because of what? Because there is a huge need for love. If you want to avoid envy, if you satisfy everyone and say, yes, you are good, do you avoid envy?
No.
No, envy will still be there. But if a person received confirmation from you that you recognize him as good, and then let's say he envies you. A man has come to you, he is jealous, and you see that he is jealous of you. This greenery, you will not confuse it with anything else. And you patted him on the head, said, what a good person you are, wonderful, you are my very best friend and generally the best friend, and you are so wonderful and unusual. What are you doing? We're temporarily stroking the head of the ego of a person. He arms down, decides to himself, well, okay, really, I'm so good, everything is fine, okay, I will allow you to be better than myself, but still I am better. This is a solution to the problem, but it's not the right option.
Вот это как бы есть вариант решения проблемы, но это не есть правильный вариант, да, то есть вы
You solve for yourself the problem of conflict with a close person who is jealous of you. He will not fight with you and he himself will not send you arrows of hatred and envy. But it turns out that this will be some kind of hypocrisy on your part. On the other hand, it is possible to treat this issue differently. If you really have reached a state of consciousness when all people are equal for you, and you are part of a single wall. This is a state of truly enlightened consciousness. Then, when you see envy in other people, you will calmly accept it. Well, yes, well, there is this matter, there is this energy in a man, but we are still one, we are part of whole, we are part of a single organism. And okay, let it be what it is.
Когда вы будете видеть зависть в других людях, вы будете спокойно принимать, ну да, ну вот есть эта материя, есть энергия в этом человеке, но мы все равно с ним вместе едины, мы часть единого целого, мы часть единого организма, и окей, пусть он будет таким, какой он есть. А? То есть это другой вариант.
That is, this is another version of your relationship. But will it change the envy that comes to you? You have developed for you the right attitude towards envy in this case, but envy of you will not change. But there is a question. If you will be in this state of consciousness, the most important thing here is not to begin to experience pride. I'm so cool, you are all equal to me, and I'm so one with the whole universe, and therefore if you give off some kind of shit, I love you anyway, because I'm so cool. Have you heard how many times I said the word I? If this is about history, then this is your spiritual pride, and this is your big problem. Get ready for what karma will come soon and give you a slap. Be sure to descend, because for such spiritual pride, it is not real, because when you become part of the universe, your self becomes so small, it disappears altogether, and your spiritual pride also disappears, and you really feel yourself as part of the whole, and you allow this one to be as it is, without experiencing any dissimilarities with this one, spiritual, material, with this wonderful organism.
С этим единым духовным, материально единым вот этим вот замечательным организмом, да?
Then it is right, but at the same time you force yourself to think so, because Nadia said, okay, good, but make it your true nature.
And if a person comes with envy and sees that I don't react to this envy, he sees it, he feels it, doesn't he become even anger? And doesn't he live to accumulate more anger in order to return with aggression? Does he also need to shake my emotions to feed them in some way?
Well, he will come to get some reaction from you, so that you pay attention to him. He'll write you angry letters, he will call, attract attention to himself during work, projects and so on. That's it. He will be hysterical, he will not feel very comfortable, and you will not know that somehow this object wants to draw your attention to himself. What do you do with it? Nothing. If you want to throw his head so that he will for some time let go, do you want it, right? You don't want it. That's you want not to pay attention to him.
I would like to ignore, but...
What hurts your conscience? Here, answer a question for me. I now understand what you are thinking. I now see the story you are thinking about. Those thoughts are clear to me. Now explain why you feel guilty in response to the fact that you cannot answer to this envy.
Well, I sincerely try to understand that a person is good enough, that he just went a little bit in the wrong direction.
Why are you the one to blame for this?
Basically, he is not bad.
Why do you feel guilty?
Why do I feel guilty? Well, probably...
Good girl.
No. Well, maybe I'm taking not my place.
No, you are a good girl. You want to meet, you want to live up to expectations. You want to deserve love. This is normal human quality. But you should not feel guilty for not being able to satisfy someone else's egoism. Do you understand? By definition, you cannot do this. Therefore, here you will have to make the right decision for yourself. How will you react to these things? The most correct reaction is what? To allow him to be what he is, to stop feeling guilty, and quietly watch this flow of energy. Do you understand? Believe me, after this, very soon it will stop, this energy flow.
Поверьте мне, очень скоро он прекратится, этот энергопоток.
Something will happen that will cause all your energies to cease mutually. Some object will happen, some story will happen between you. It will simply be taken away, and the whole story will cease to be relevant. Do you understand? This is a wonderful fact. It will happen. Do not experience aggression in response. Yes, you feel envied. Oh well. While mentally you wish a person happiness and all that best. So what is louder, guys? I seem to be talking so loudly. Who hears me badly? Please answer. And my sound is set on maximum.
Мысленно, но пожелайте вы человеку счастья и всего хорошего. Так, чуть погромче. Ребятушки, я вроде и так громко говорю. Кто меня плохо слышит, ответьте, пожалуйста. Я и так вот звук на максимуме и все. Позвольте ему испытывать.
Let him experience this egoism that he is experiencing. This is his stage of evolution. He passes through it. And again, look, he does not harm you. In fact, energetically, if you treat this without aggression in response, without envy, without hatred, you do not get involved in all this negative energy exchange, and the envy of you will not cause any harm. Okay? Let him envy you. His envy will return to him. This is a mandatory law, so we are arranged. I did not invent it. For many years now I have been watching these things happen all the time. This is how this world is arranged spiritually. If you start to be something like this, which I'm talking about, envy of you will not be just stupid to touch. That's all.
То есть приблизительно о том, о чем я рассказываю, да, эта зависть вас просто тупо трогать не будет, и все.
That is, a person will remain with his karma as part of his energy exchange, but for you it will be perfectly safe, because you cannot please everyone. You can't be good for everyone, that's normal. You must live your life as correctly, honestly, as cleanly as possible, not have any negative emotions preferably, to accept people as they are and engage in their own spiritual growth and development of themselves as spiritual structure, and develop their divine nature in themselves. To realize and feel your unity with the whole universe, with God, with all the humanity. Take care of yourself, your own development.
Осознавать и чувствовать свое единство со всей Вселенной, со всем Богом, со всем человечеством, да, занимайтесь собой. То есть в рамках вот этого вот собственным развитием. Нельзя все время смотреть по сторонам и думать, кому я понравилась.
You can't always look around. Who liked me? Did this guy like me? Did the other guy like me? No, you still would not be liked by everyone. Millions of people will look and listen to you, or even if they will not look and listen to you, but all the same, everyone who you come across, everyone, while they are identified with their ego, they all will have a little bit of envy. What is envy? This is comparison. What I am and what he is. So I feel that I am and he is, and I want it too. As long as we are identified, no matter how much we give it, we will have little. All and more. Therefore, this is completely normal situation, and if you look from the point of an absolute enlightened consciousness, you must take a clear rule for yourself, to experience unconditional love and acceptance for everything you encounter. Teach your mind first to do this. And then it will help you later in the process, when you will already go into the state of spiritual identity. Your mind will not sometimes give you impurities from the past egoism. You must to begin with voluntarily, compulsively teach to accept the equality of all living beings, and to accept that a person has the right to be what he is.
Приучить свой ум к принятию равенства всех живых существ, да, и к принятию того, что человек имеет право быть таким, какой он есть.
No matter what, you train your mind to do it, and then you know how interesting it is. The mind in our astral is such a wonderful thing. It's monkeys that are remarkably trained. At first you are training yourself. It will seem to you that yes, okay, I'm already wonderful. No, wait, please do not slip into spiritual pride. This is not necessary. At this moment, please begin to develop your unity and your love and God. Begin to develop God within you. And as soon as you develop a God in yourself, huge amount of problems associated with this identity that you suppress in yourself, it immediately begins to disappear.
И Бога. Начинайте развивать в себе Бога. И вот как только вы разовьете в себе Бога, у вас сразу же огромное количество проблем, связанных уже с этой отождествленностью, которую вы подавляете в себе, оно сразу же начнет пропадать.
Some purpose is needed for which you are enlightened. You cannot be enlightened for yourself. You must be part of something, you must be part of God, part of a single human body. Because if you are enlightened only for yourself, you be happy with yourself, then you will excuse me, but this is all variations on the theme of egoism and the third chakra. Here the story is no longer about enlightenment, but about how the very satisfied you are with yourself in life.
Pride, is it?
Pride it is. This is trivial pride. This is how wonderful I am, that is, I, me. You just still accept God in your life. And they must become God, become a part of God. And then in what tradition you will do it, it doesn't matter. Choose for yourself. Want to choose Orthodoxy? Great. Islam is great. Judaism is generally wonderful. And there is almost everything there, everything you need. And secret technology and frank technology, spiritual and not spiritual, for life, not for life, in any religion. Buddhism is absolutely beautiful. Meditation practices are embedded there. But you still need God. Do you understand? You are a part of God. You are a soul. And if you say that there is no God in you and develop yourself as enlightened consciousness, you will fail into egoism. If a person is engaged in spiritual enlightenment and walks around Kailash, recite mantras, do not feel at the same time, I am still a supporter of the classical Hindu tradition. You must have the quality of devotion to Ishvara. Ishvara is the creator God, the creator God. Ishvara there, call him whatever you like, God the creator. You must feel love and devotion and awe for him, as all religions bring up. You must be part of him, and at the same time aware of your spiritual nature. You cannot go into the enlightenment without God inside. I do not impose any religion or faith on you. If you're Christian, great. Orthodox, great. Stay within the framework of the religion that is close to you, within which you already existed quite well. And within the framework of these religions, one can safely develop and get rid of unnecessary qualities of the ego.
Все. И вот в рамках этой религии можно спокойно таким образом развиваться и избавляться от всяких качеств эго ненужных. Окей. Ну как, на сегодня, наверное, достаточно, да? Переварим, а потом вернемся.
Okay, today probably is enough, digest it, and then we will return next time. We will discuss further some features that we have in the process of enlightenment.